not intended for public consumption, and he did not have a racist bone in his body. Then on Monday night, around 8 p.m. Eastern, the New York Times published a trove of additional personal emails from Gruden to then Washington executive Bruce Allen and others, in which Gruden used homophobic and misogynistic language, expressed negative feelings about the rise of women officials, the NFL's push for a gay player, Michael Sam, to be drafted, and protests during the national anthem. Within the hour, Gruden had met with Raiders owner Mark Davis and his staff to inform them of the stunning news. He was resigning as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. It has been a swift fall for Gruden, who was rehired out of the broadcast booth back in 2018. It was a coup at the time for Mark Davis, who had tried for years to lure Gruden back to the Raiders. Gruden remade the staff and the roster. He ushered in the Las Vegas era of the Raiders. The end result? A 22-31 record in parts of 4 seasons, no playoff appearances, and on Monday night, Jon Gruden resigned in disgrace as the Raiders head coach, his coaching career quite possibly over at the age of 58. In terms of where things go from here for the Raiders, a longtime Gruden assistant and special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia will take over on an interim basis, and there is still a game to play on Sunday at Denver. Okay.
Appreciate the update from you, Tom Pelissero, and the report. We'll be talking about that, of course, at the breakfast table all day long. We know Raider Nation does not sleep. I feel terrible for Raider Nation. We'll talk about the fans, the impact of that as his team tries to move on, but not until we talk about what we make of Jon Gruden's resignation. I've resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I love the Raiders and do not want to be a distraction. Thank you to the players, coaches, staff, and fans of Raider Nation. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone, Peter.
Yeah, the New York Times report it's disturbing, and it unscathes emails that have things not only against DeMaurice Smith, which we talked about at length over the weekend and yesterday, but Commissioner Goodell, about officials, about homosexuality. There's all sorts of misogyny throughout these emails, and the thing that is wild to me is that the Wall Street Journal report comes out Friday, and the team was given a tip on Thursday night that's coming out. He meets with the team. This guy coached over the weekend. This guy wore the Raiders outfit over the weekend, knowing that it is. So, he couldn't coach again, and obviously his resignation's taken. And I don't know what to say. There were 650,000 emails that were investigated in the discovery phase of an investigation of the Washington football team. These are the only ones that have leaked thus far. I don't know where this is going from here, and I would assume there's plenty more to come out of that investigation, and truth came to light. And Jon Gruden will not be coaching in our world anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. I think that's super disappointing for Raiders fans. They worship this guy. This is their guy. It has been for 20 years. And I think it's really disappointing just for football fans in general. I'm disappointed in what he did. Because you understand, like, Jon Gruden he's a football caricature. It's what makes him fun. He's Chucky in the scowl and the swearing and the chicken wings and all that. It's a full cartoon character for a whole generation of people. Jon Gruden is what a football coach looks like. He's what he's about. He's old school. He's tough. But now this took the fun caricature to a bad stereotype of the ignorant football caveman ignoramus, just with Stone Age ideology and terrible, terrible views on the world, and it's over, and it's a shame. And I do think it's really interesting that when Jon Gruden was reintroduced as Raiders coach in January 8, 2018, he was asked about media, social media, your message, and how players should express themselves and express their views publicly in this day and age. Jon Gruden, an actual quote the day he was introduced: "Got to be careful what you post, because sometimes it backfires against you. It's no different than talking in a microphone. You're responsible for your actions, and we'll talk about that at length with our team." And here we are today. Did you? Because if you did talk about it to the team, I imagine you were a hypocrite. That whole Raiders thing is a commitment to excellence. It's not just the football. It's from the top on down. And if you read those emails and every single different thing that he hit over years and years, it was a commitment to ignorance. And that's why he's gone.
Yeah, my personal feelings, I don't know Jon Gruden. I got the opportunity to play for his brother Jay. And, the relationship I have with Jay, I even still golf with Jay to this day. And we've had some heated arguments, just as players do in the locker room with coaches. But I could never see this happening with Jay. And I say that because they are brothers. And, you know, I think this isn't something that just happened overnight. You know, this is something that has been on Jon Gruden's heart for a while now. And like you said, now it's coming to the light. And I don't have, you know, it's hard for me to have sympathy for a person or feel any type of, you know, sad feelings about this happening, because in the National Football League, when you play sports, and you've been around sports, all of us have been around sports, you know, any sport, it's a safe place in that locker room. It's a safe place on a team. You know, no one looks at the color of your skin. It's just, I got your back, you got my back, right? You make that play for us, you know, whoop-de-whoop. It's that camaraderie. And so to see this from the guy who's leading your organization, you know, it's very disturbing, without a doubt. You know, how do these players respond? That's going to be a big question. Is this a lost season for the Las Vegas Raiders? All of those things kind of come into play. You know, being in Washington for all of those years, it always felt like we had to deal with something. We couldn't just play football. Sure. You know, we had to focus on something else. And, you know, even watching the game last night, you know, hearing Booger McFarland talk about, you know, if you aren't focused on, you know, anything that takes my attention away from the task at hand, which is trying to win a football game, it is a distraction. And even though Jon Gruden has resigned now, it's still a distraction. This team is not going to just be able to turn the chapter. You know, we say in football and any sport really, you know, winning cures a little bit of everything, no matter what the problem is. Winning kind of cures that. It's going to be tough to come back from this, though. You know, it's going to be tough for that Raiders organization to come back from this, from a lot of the players in that locker room. We talk about Rich Bisaccia taking over as, you know, now the interim head coach. You know, I played against Jon Gruden when he was in Tampa, and Bisaccia was his special teams coach. So this relationship goes deep. You know, it goes really deep. And so, you know, I'm in that locker room thinking, hell, does Rich feel the same way Jon feels? You know, because they're so close.
So what does that do?
All of those things you just don't know.
Because it's not just the Raiders.
I mean, it kind of divides the locker room, right? I mean, it 100% divides the locker room. You talk about Michael Sams and some of the homophobic things that were in the email. Carl Nassib, yes. And, you know, I stood up and I said, wow, you know, such an amazing feeling for Carl to come out, because as a player, I don't care if Carl's gay or not. I want to know, can you help me? And watching him play this season, absolutely he's helped the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders win games, without a doubt. And that's what it's about on that football field. That's what it's about in that locker room. The lip service, you know, nobody wants to hear that. Can you help us win? And so it's going to be very interesting to see where this football team goes, because I can see it going one or two ways. Obviously being just a terrible situation where no one's kind of, you know, has each other's back. Everybody's out there for themselves. Or maybe this is opportunity for that football team to, you know, to come together. It's going to be hard to do. I've never experienced anything like this, and I've been around some crazy things in my 14 years, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. And it's very disturbing, especially in a league that's, you know, trying to get that stigma away.
That's what makes it not just a Raiders thing.
Standpoint, right?
It makes it, this exists, this mentality, this feeling of being unwelcome and unwanted that people in any job, in any walk of life feel, is something that exists in the NFL. It's not just a Raiders thing, but to speak about Gruden, how you're saying you don't have sympathy for him, well, he's going to go and Gruden's going to be okay. It's this Raiders fan base that is left again, like, what do we do? Are we going to rebuild? Are we going to be okay?